Okay, so what's the plan for today's show?
I've been thinking, Matt, we're about over 20 episodes in, and I don't think we've even mentioned Swindon properly.
It's too easy to laugh at them, really, isn't it? I guess what with them being so far below us at the moment, they've not really been on our radar, really. And I don't tend to look at the top of League Two at the moment.
But Matt, it's Swindon, and we're 20 episodes in plus, and we've not even mentioned the 7 in a row. I think this is where we should be heading.
If we not mention it, that's ridiculous. We need to get on this.
So how about we rate all 7 wins from least best to best?
Oh, sounds like a great idea. Let's do this thing.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of You Are My Oxford podcast. We're sponsored by Nutmeg, the nostalgic football management game coming out in the new year.
Don't forget to mention the free demo, which you can download now, Matt. But before we start talking about the 7 in a row, first I want to bring in another special guest. We saw him briefly a couple of episodes back. Now he's actually going to be joining us in person, and we've got some really, really good news for him. Give me a second. Let me get him on. Here he is. Hello, Mark. Hey. Thank you so much for doing this.
Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very delighted to say it's Mark Rawle, scorer of insanely good goals. Mark, welcome to the pod.
Guys, thanks for having me.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I've been trying to find your amazing goal at Cambridge in 2003 for years and years and years and years. Last month, I tracked you down on social media and I messaged you and said, listen, have you got the goal? And tell us what you said.
I said, I haven't got the goal. I did have the goal, but I've lost it over the years. My brother had recorded it for me whilst I was playing. He got it off like Central, one of them stations or whatever. Recorded it, I had it, and obviously through moving houses and stuff like that, you end up losing it. And I'd been exactly like you, scouring YouTube, hoping someone had posted it somewhere, could not find it. And I've had other people actually, other friends of mine, who've been trying to get me to find the goal as well because they remember it. But yeah, it's it's been just crazy.
So listeners, what happened next was we then put out a bit of an appeal, and I'm going to be honest, we heard absolutely nothing. Like, the leads that we had just came to nothing, and we thought maybe we'd hit a bit of a dead end. But then late last week, we received an email from someone who wants to be kept anonymous. Now, This email had a WeTransfer link on, which we opened, and in it, there was your goal. Mark, how are you feeling about that? How excited are you to see it again after all these years?
I'm buzzing. Like, I really, really, all I've had is my memory. That's all I've had. That's all I've had. And also, there'll be a couple of people who I've explained the goal to, and they haven't quite got the picture or don't know what it, but hopefully they can get to see it now. I can share it with them.
Now, Mark and I have been chatting over social media. Mark, you mentioned your memory there. Your memory is insane. The detail that you remember stuff in just makes me laugh. Not just this goal, but like other goals as well. So, Mark, first of all, I'm just going to play a little game with you. I want you to describe the goal, and then we're going to play you the goal, and we're going to see how accurately you remember it.
Okay. Well, I could set the scene, the whole scene. I didn't start the game. I don't think I started that. No, I didn't start that game as usual. Came on. I think myself and Chris Hackett came on in the second half in that game because Hackett weren't starting games either at that stage. But we came on. From what I remember, it got clipped in from the right-hand side and towards the edge of the box. Somehow, for some reason, Matt Bound was up quite high up the pitch, centrally. He's jumped up, won a header, and he's nodded it down in my direction. And it's came across the front of me. So I'm facing the goal. It's come across the front of me, bounced. As it's bounced, I've hooked it back over the defender's head with my left foot, and I've spun like clockwise away from the defender round, and I hit it full on the volley. And I can't remember if it bounced or went straight in, but in off the post. But I get the in off the post thing a bit messed up because I know I scored a goal against Scunthorpe at home. That went in off the post. So I kind of get them two a bit blurred. I'm not sure. But it hit the back of the net anyway. And yeah, it's quite good.
Right, I've tortured you enough. That's what I've been dealing with for the last 2 weeks.
I
Talking
tell
to
you
Mark,
what,
his
that's some
knowledge.
description.
Right, let's have a
Love
look.
it.
Then we can go through it, and let's have a look and see what happened. Here we go. So that's Basham playing it out to the wing. That's your man, Chrissy Hackett, I reckon. That is indeed Matty Bound.
Wow, yes!
What a goal.
Woo!
What
I
a
thought it
finish
was
that is.
further out. I thought it was more the edge of the box, though. I didn't realise I was in the box. But
The thing
Yeah.
is, Mark, I used to play a bit of football. You know, the longer the years go on, I think you get an extra yard with every year. So, but you know, it was a pretty special finish that was. How did it feel to watch it again?
no, that's crazy, and it's quite a clean video as well for how long ago it was. But nah, love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, I can do that, guys. Remember, this is what I used to do.
And you know what? What's even better? The good news is this will be back on the internet for the world to enjoy, and you won't be able to lose it this time.
I
Yeah.
won't. Absolutely won't. I'm storing it somewhere because if anything happens, if there's some cyber crash all over, I'll have it. I don't. This man's keeping it.
Mate, it's a heck of a finish. It's a heck of a finish. We couldn't believe it when we opened the email and saw it. I was like, oh, yeah, fair play. Fair play. Good.
Um,
No, that's good, man. Appreciate that stuff, guys. Love
You're
that.
so welcome. While we've got you here, it'd be ridiculous not to show you some of the other amazing goals you scored for Oxford. I've edited a few together. Again, using your incredible power of recall, you can just talk us through them.
What we got
So
here.
that's-
Oh, yes. What a game that was. Yeah, Jules got sent off. Julian also got sent off early in the game. I've come on late. Well, in the game, hit that nice header. This one again came off the bench. I think that was a ball in from Brownie. Danny Brown played it into my feet. Quick turn, swivel. I like this goal. You know, yeah. Scunthorpe at home, in off the post. See the in off the post there. That's what I was.
Beautiful.
And it was. I see how far out I was. That's why I get them two goals mixed up. But yeah, that was one hell of a header. I was enjoying my head in them days there.
Um,
Which had quite a leap on me as well. Had quite a
really
leap on me.
yeah.
But that one there, that the Kidderminster one, that was obviously one of my best ones as well.
Looking at all these goals we were discussing before, we really wish we'd seen more of you at Oxford. Why do you think maybe that didn't quite happen?
Do you know what? I was told Rawle want you to come and play because playing for Southend this season before, I scored home and away against Oxford, and had quite good games against you guys. But I signed in the summer, and you know, Ian Atkins, yes, you're going to play. So that's what. Then after I signed, I think he signed Julian Alsop after me. And then he had him straight away in his plan, sort of thing. But you got to imagine as well, before I signed, there was Andy Scott was there, Lee Steele was there, still coming back from injury. And obviously there was Brooksy as well, who was coming back from his injury, but he'd be his illness, should I say, but he would take a lot longer. So I was in the mix there. Oh yeah, Manny Omiyemi was still there as well. So there was a lot of us in there. But then when I really, in hindsight, I wasn't as fit as I wanted to be throughout pre-season. I got a couple of injuries pre-season. My foot, I think my hamstring was playing up. So I didn't really start, at the start of the season, I wasn't fit. But at the time, I was frustrated. I was really, you know, why am I not playing or whatever? Because there was even a few, I didn't even get on the pitch for the first maybe 3 games, I think it was, 3-4 games. I remember he called me up to get on against Millwall in the cup away, and yeah, ready to go on. Final whistle goes. So I was fuming about that, and then afterwards they make you run to keep your fitness up. So I was fuming. And I think the next game it happened. I think I was at home against. I feel like it might have been Boston, you know. Or Southend or Boston. I was playing. No, I think it might have been Southend again at home. And again, he put me on the side, and the same thing was going to happen again. The whistle was getting right close to the end, and I lost it. And I remember I lost it on the side a little bit, and I booted a couple of bottles on the thing. And then he goes, oh, get him on. So I got on to the boos from the Southend fans, and I think the next game after that I came on, and it was Swansea. I think I scored against Swansea. I think it was Swansea at home, my first goal. I think it was Swansea first, and I scored my first touch in that one. So yeah, it was a bit. I just wasn't fit. But then Ian Atkins had his set team, and everyone knew it. What his team was. He had his starters, and he had the people on the bench who he'd bring on, and it was what it was, and it was an experience, for us.
An experience is probably a good way of describing it. It wasn't a great deal of fun to watch in those days. I mean, I guess Ian Atkins took over a team that had been losing for some time. That was the problem. And he obviously brought in his players. But I was a huge fan of yours. Really enjoyed it when you did come on. Let's talk about you now quickly.
Yeah.
I've been looking at your social media, trying to find you. Your life seems quite exciting. Why don't you tell the audience what you're up to now?
I'll go for the first one. So I'm now working in youth justice. That's the first thing. I work in youth justice. I'm a prevention officer, and so I'm like a case manager, working with like young offenders, low level young offenders. So I then come in as a case manager, do an assessment with them, and then I'll have to do intervention work with them over a period of weeks or months or whatever to try and basically deter them from further offending behaviour. So that's my day job. I'm also a personal trainer as well, so I do that. I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit at the moment because work is so busy. So I do that, but I keep myself in the gym regularly myself. So that's that. But the other thing I do is I'm a host and an MC on. So I do events. I do UK garage, funky, and all the urban kind of stuff, and host those kind of events. I don't DJ. I don't do anything with the music, no mixing or whatever. I just hold the microphone, get the crowd going, or an MC, and do things like that. And I'll say genuinely, that is me being on stage is the next closest thing to playing my football. Back in the day, because I don't play any football anymore. Okay. My body can't do it. My hips are gone. Knees and everything. I'm old, but that being on stage is my fun time, and brings back to that. So yeah, good times.
I've got to ask, do any former teammates come up for your club nights? I can kind of see Scott McNiven and Derek Townsley having a bit of a good evening.
How you pulled them out? Do you know what? The guy, I don't really see them that much. I mean, I'm still, they don't come up for the club nights, but I do. Like Chris Hackett is my boy. I'm still really close with him and his missus. We always chatting. I try and get down to go and see them when I can. I haven't been down for a little while now, but then obviously because Chris is working down there, he can't get out that much either. But I think I saw him. I was driving past Oxford. I was coming back from South, and I gave him a call. Come out and met me. So yeah, Hackett is my guy. But I speak to a couple of other lads now and again. But I do try to keep whoever I've played with over the years. I always try to keep contact or keep an eye on what they're doing, through socials and things. And we loosely have like a chat here and there. I mean, even one time at Manny, our guy Manny as well, when I was down south and in his ends, and I've given him a call and went over to his house, and that was a few years ago. That was, but it was good to see him. I always like to try to keep contact with the guys and see what they're doing.
Dan will be too embarrassed to ask, but I'm going to ask on his behalf. Can you sort him VIP one day? And if you want to see Dan dancing, he can very much fill that void. Yeah.
Hey, give me the heads up. Keep an eye on my events and see if you like anything. Give me a shout. You want to come up? We'll sort it out.
Next time you're in London, all right, Mark? Yeah. Next time you're in London, that's where I am.
Mark, thank you so much for coming on. We're delighted to have had you on, to see your genuine reaction to the goal. Just finally, before we let you go, do you have a message for our anonymous viewer who trawled through hours of old tapes to find that goal?
Hey, listen, thank you so much. Obviously, you didn't have to do all of that. But obviously, I've been looking for that goal for a long period of time. And obviously, for you guys coming up and, Dan, you messaging me, because obviously people don't know that I haven't seen the goal. You assumed I had it. I obviously didn't, but everything's come together and it's worked out. I've got the goal. Love it. Appreciate everyone, yeah?
Mark Rawle, thank you so much for joining us. You are now forever a friend of the You Are My Oxford podcast. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Anyway, that was a bit of fun, wasn't it? Let's get back on course. And we promised our audience, didn't we? We'd rank the 7 victories in a row over Swindon.
Yeah, I've genuinely spent the last week or so trying and failing to find a guest who'll agree to come on who was at all 7 games. Then it hit me. I knew someone who definitely would have been at all 7 and who definitely would agree to come on.
Listener, he is a total OUFC nut. Loads of you, many of you, most of you will know him. He's known as Swiss Yellow. His real name is James. And he actually also happens to work for Secret Mo Games, who make the Nutmeg game, who of course sponsor us, which is amazing.
Let's get him on. James, welcome to the show. And of course, thank you so much for sponsoring us. You are truly a friend of the pod.
Thank you very much. No, I didn't pay to get on here. I'm just saying, didn't sponsor you just for airtime. I sponsored you because of your quality content, your avid listener interaction, and also a bit of John Narvett.
Well, money talks. So you're on straight away. But you were at all 7 games, weren't you?
Yeah, at all 7 games, and also some dreadful games before that as well. So yeah, I kind of counterbalance some of those miserable games in the 90s where we looked round that horrible ground to see them celebrating and us feeling a bit miserable. Yeah.
James, we've made a really short video for our socials, which I know you've seen, which we encouraged people to vote for their favourite of the 7. We'll take a quick watch, then we'll discuss the games in order, and then we'll put them in order ourselves from bottom to top.
What was the best of the 7 wins in a row over Swindon? Tell us in the comments.
The 1-0 win in the FA Cup was a dreadful game won by an ugly goal, but still probably the first memorable match at the Kassam Stadium. Not least for Jefferson Lewis' celebration.
We had to wait almost 9 years to get the chance to beat them again. And what a win this was. 2 goals at the county ground for Bino, cementing his absolute legend status.
Swindon tried and failed to sign Bino later that season, so instead they got him sent off. No worries, our injury-ravaged squad gritted out a famous win.
Friend of our podcast, Alfie Potter's late winner in the Football League Trophy, made it 4 in a row. Unlucky, Paolo.
The Robins couldn't beat us when we were average, so what chance did they have against Ruth and the Glory team of 2015-16? Answer, no chance.
Back in the same division, Appleton's beautiful team carried on the trend of comfortable wins. Maguire, the star of the show at home. Lawrence Vigouroux also deserves a mention.
At last it looked like Swindon might give us a game in the return fixture, but no, Circleman Hall turned the game in an instant to send the travelling Yellows home in delirium.
So now you've been reminded, you choose. Oh, that was fun watching all those again, wasn't it? Okay, first up, let's go back almost a quarter of a century, 24 years. Picture the scene, it's December 2002. It's a cold Sunday afternoon. The match of the day live cameras are in town for an FA Cup second round game. James, for the viewing public, it really wasn't a classic at all, was it?
No.
Let's remember, Ian Atkins was the manager at the time. Describe his football to those who didn't get to see it.
Football is more airball, so it was very. I'm sure it's going to come back round soon and be like the new hipster way of playing football, which was kick it and with as few touches as possible. But I do remember that game and genuinely being really embarrassed by it. So that's why I'll give a surprise. It's not my number 1 of the pick. I kind of felt we're playing this lot. And we're in a lower division than them, and we're playing rubbish football, and it all feels a bit rubbish in our new ground, which isn't finished, and it was all a bit embarrassing. So my memory of it is kind of, yes, we got the win, but just feeling we're in their shadow a bit, which I didn't like because they kept telling us that constantly at that point, and I just didn't like it because it didn't feel like an overwhelming victory which gave us superiority. It felt a bit squeaky and a bit lucky and a bit spawny. So I didn't have much fun,
Interesting.
even though I did enjoy the game, right? The victory.
James, let's take a look at the winning goal. What do you remember of it?
Jefferson Louis not having much to do with the goal is what I remember, but him celebrating as if he'd scored an, overhead amazing volley. So yeah, my memory of it wasn't it's just coming from a throw-in, wasn't it? And then it was like a couple of bounces, and then I think did someone else nearly touch it, but it just felt like, yeah, it was spawny.
Let's make a case for it. Matt, you were saying just before we started recording why you were a fan of this one. Go on,
Yeah.
tell us why.
Listen, I'm going to go completely opposite way for James. And a few points he picked up on, which was things hadn't been great at all. And we moved to this stadium, which wasn't finished. And for the first kind of year and a half, whatever, it was all a bit kind of flat, and this isn't great, and this is not what I expected, and the thing's just going to keep getting rubbish. And this was the first time in the Kisama Stadium that I properly celebrated and had fun. And yes, it was all a bit agricultural, and yes, we weren't the best, and it was a spawny goal. But it was the first time that I'd had experienced proper elation in that stadium, I think. So for that reason, for me, it's kind of quite high up there.
I'm going to tell a funny story about this game. Matt and I, at the time, worked for BBC Sport, funnily enough. And I don't even remember, Matt, after the game, we all zoomed back to TV Centre for the Sports Personality of the Year.
Yes.
And I was getting changed in the gym into my kind of glad rags for the evening. And there were two guys in there from Match of the Day, and I probably shouldn't be telling this, but they were having a chat about the game, and one of them said, "Well, that's about the worst game of football I've ever seen in my life," and the other one said, "Yeah, it's absolutely bloody terrible." And the other one said, "So why did you choose it?" And they said, "Because we needed the game that was local, so we could get back for the Sports Personality tonight."
Brilliant.
And I was there getting changed, just chuckling away to myself. So.
However, one thing that the BBC were kind of maybe not happy, but then maybe happy about, and we should just mention it, is Jefferson Louis' celebration, post-match celebration, and who can forget about it? Because suddenly then that catapulted us very much into the into the national newspapers of the time. And if it had been today, that would very much have been a viral moment, I think it's fair to say. James, a crap game, but quite a significant game.
Yeah, significant game. And of course, if you're looking at kind of branding Oxford United being synonymous with Wang, I think was the thing that revisited us with that clip of Jefferson Louis running about. But I remember coming home from the game and being told about that it had been seen on television, and then eagerly went home to watch the VHS recording and fast forwarding to that, and just, brilliant.
Yeah. All right, lots to get through, Dan. What's next?
Let's move on to number 2 in a row. Our first win at the county ground in 38 years. It's Beano at the double. James, tell us the story of the day and the game as you remember.
Yeah, so this was a really weird one. Went by train. The atmosphere was very spicy. And ended up at Swindon train station with around 800 or maybe 25,000 other Oxford fans, as it seemed at the time. And we all nodded at one another. Everybody knew one another. It was yellow everywhere. And we got corralled through the streets of Swindon. And there's one memory which sticks with me, is we walked past this terrace house whose window backed on, and this lady appeared, and I'd say she's probably between the ages of 30 and 40, and she looked at this enormous army of like, the orcs off to Helm's Deep, as we must have looked like to her, at which point she pulled up her top and exposed herself. And I just thought that was such a weird thing to do to a bunch of football fans. Very odd, but then that kind of odd. And then from there, I remember it being one of the most unpleasant last 10 minutes of a game I've ever known. Now, I took a little flip phone thing at the time and filmed it and put it up on YouTube, and it's still up there, the last 3 minutes. And I watched it the other day on chatting about this. And yeah, you can just hear the uncomfortableness of us just hanging on for that result. And Yeah, it was a good victory, and it felt more of a relief. It was a how did we get away with that win was the kind of emotion. It was like Beano had it was a really good victory, but not my favourite one.
This is the game, though, that really cemented James Constable as a kind of an Oxford legend. Fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. I think there were rumours before that he was a Swindon fan, or Di Canio would try to do some nonsense. I remember Dewberry playing, and I remember Michael Dewberry coming over at the end, and I had a little chat with him afterwards, and he was just saying he really enjoyed the atmosphere. And I thought, here's a man who's played, Chelsea Spurs games and Chelsea West Ham and all those kind of games, but he still thought this was an incredible atmosphere, and I loved that. I thought that was great.
James, this was in the top 3 of the public vote that we put out there. Is it in your top 3 too?
It's number 3.
Don't tell us too much about the order. We're going to save that to the end. But okay, good. All right, we're going to get to 3 in a row now. The return fixture at the Kassam Stadium, one that Matt knows so well. James Constable been in the headlines because Swindon had tried to sign him just a couple of months earlier. James, set the scene then for this one.
Yeah, so this one was it a lunchtime kickoff? And I remember the only place you could get a beer was in the Indian Eat As Much As You Could restaurant, which was in the Kassam at the time. So we all piled in there, I think, at 8 a.m. for biryanis and chicken tikka masalas and a few pints of cobras, and turning up a little bit worse for wear into the East Stand. And again, just this ongoing feeling of this is really unfair. How they sent him off. Oh no, they're top of the table. We're suffering. Like, I think even you can remember who was playing because it's such an odd 11 when you look back at it. But again, we were just grit and determination. It was Wilder getting one over Di Canio, and it's given us that iconic Di Canio kind of haunched over the touchline image that we all know so well. But yeah, Asa Hall and Ollie Johnson going down into Oxford history there.
Oh, what
was
a picture you paint. Love that.
It really was the kind of the dregs of our squad as well. I can't remember, who was injured at the time. Just remember lots and lots and lots being out, and they were absolutely flying, and we just clung on and clung on and clung on, and we scored twice, which was just kind of remarkable. 2 goals came really quickly as well, didn't they?
Yeah, really quickly. And another thing I remember not liking very much when I'm ranking these games was the goals were at the other end. I really liked it when the goals were in front of us, and that may give a clue to some of my other ranking.
That one is doing very well in the public voting at the moment. Are you both building a little running order in your heads here?
Good reminder.
Good reminder, yeah. Okay, the next win was also in 2012, but it was the following season. It was in the JPT Trophy. And the JPT Trophy, when it mattered a little bit more in those days, it was a worthwhile trip to Wembley. It was a late winner for Alfie Potter. James, what else do you remember?
Was this the one with the ball boy getting heaved off the ball? I'm not sure if it was this one or the one after, but I remember it being, again, not a very enjoyable game, but Alfie Potter scoring right at the death and us going crazy. But again, JPT, it felt like, again, another one where we'd mugged them a bit.
Win's a win. I don't know much else about this one. I mean, the footage is really interesting. Listeners, we are watching Paolo Di Canio going totally bonkers, which is, I mean, if you look at the highlights online, it's more of him going bonkers than it is actually of match action. So I don't remember much about that. Still, a win is a win.
A win is a win. Should we move on to 5 in a row? 2015, 16 now. JPT again.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, probably one of our most straightforward of the wins.
Yeah.
2-0. Talk us through this one, James.
Yeah, Ruth scored 2, I think. And I think Matt Ritchie pushing the ball boy was either in this one or the one before. It was definitely a JPT. But this one just felt like dominating, and it was a rare game at the time because I don't think they're in the same division as us. So it was a great game, great display. Again, not so many goals at the at the London Road, let's say. So it was brilliant, but I wouldn't say it was one of the greatest victories for reasons I'll go on to.
Fair.
I've expressed my love for this particular team before. I'm just going to read you the starting 11 from that day. Bushell, Baldock, Scars, Mullins, Wright, Sercombe, Lundstrom, Jordan Graham, Callum Dowder, Taylor and Roof. That is insane.
Yeah, dominated them. They were in a higher division, weren't they? Well, that was our promotion team.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, to me, that's possibly one of the greatest ever Oxford teams ever. I know I've argued that in a previous episode, but I think even though this was JPT, it was such a comfortable win.
It was. And it was the season of the Wiener Neustadt as well, when we were, a few lucky 200 or so lucky Oxford fans managed to get very drunk with Danny Hilton and John Mullins. And I loved that. That season was all kicked off by that moment of having the squad walk into that Clumsy's bar in Austria looking completely perplexed why there were people hanging off rafters, hanging on the bar, people dancing everywhere, Dave Clark singing his heart out. And they walked into this thing with this look of, what is going on here? And huge smiles. And I think that had a lot to do with the kind of mentality and the morale of that season. We steamrolled them. They were in a bit bigger division, but we looked like the far better team. And yeah, a good victory. But again, JPT. So it's a good one. It's a good one.
Okay. We're going to go to the 6th in a row now. It's the following season. It's a league game. It's at the Kassam Stadium, and Chris Maguire puts on a show. James, over to you.
What a show. Chris Maguire dominated them, made every single one of their players about 2 inches tall. We dominated Swindon Town, and we dominated them so much that before then, I had this it's not weird because lots of Oxford fans said it. We couldn't say the word Swindon because it was so offensive. They were like Voldemort. We couldn't say that. And after this, like the Jules Rimet Trophy, which Brazil won and then owned, we owned the name Swindon Town after this because we'd beaten them so much. But the way this game was, we owned Swindon. We dominated them. That was it. They were done as a rival. And I think they lost that mentally, their fan base and their players, and they still haven't won it back, even though they managed to, there was some kind of weird thing in COVID where they spawned a goal past Eastie. But, this game was domination. And that's the first time, I think, since the Joey game back in the late 90s where we dominated them. And it was every single part of the pitch. It was the fans. It was the management. It was the press. It was the stadium. Everything just made us feel better. And it was at that moment, I remember after the game going, Swindon Town, Swindon Town, Swindon Town. It has no power. It has no power anymore. Right. And I loved that about this game.
Mate, it's so true. I think you've absolutely encapsulated that. And it was like that first time that we were just feeling we were getting better and better, and they were just completely on the slide. There was so much to love about that game. The atmosphere, which you've touched on, Maguire's display, their keeper, of course, had a awful day. The goal and then sending off, which maybe he shouldn't have been sent off, but we won't worry about that. But there's so much to love about it.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was a perfect display because you knew, looking over there into the North Stand, that you would hate to be on the receiving game of that performance, that crowd. And that's what we wanted. We wanted them to feel like coming to Oxford was a miserable thing, which haunts still many fans of Swindon Town to this day. And I love it.
A lovely, lovely day, but perhaps even bettered by the return fixture. County ground, it's Oxford pushing for a playoff place and heading to Wembley. It's Swindon on their way to relegation. James, take over the story, please.
And it was a completely different vibe to that 2011 away game at the county ground, which felt like we were up against it. This was a team dominating our rivals at their place. They tried They tried their hardest, but the moments we knew as a fan group that they had kind of lost the plot was when, after they scored, there was like people pitch invading, and they were trying to get the Oxford fans, and it was just such a weird, like, laughable thing. And then when Circum scored, and then that moment of Robbie Hall, I can still remember that now as I close my eyes, and I probably still got bruises on my shins from bouncing around inside the Stratton Bank way end. It was a nuts game, and again, beautiful in its timing, because it made them feel absolutely miserable at their place, and for that I am eternally grateful for that whole team, the referee, every single Oxford fan, and everybody in that ground, including the Swindon Town fans. I'm very grateful for them hating it and feeling very miserable about it.
I think Vigouroux being sent off harshly again
just helped. I love that description. I mean, talk about painting a picture.
It was fun. It was certainly fun. Watching Oxford play Swindon in person, which is all that counts. Watching us on telly or COVID times doesn't count. We scratched that one off, doesn't count. So yeah, it's been great. And I don't know how old you have to be now to be a Swindon fan that actually remembers us. There's got to be people in their 40s who can hardly remember it, isn't there? So who knows? Who knows?
Okay, so we've had all 7 there. I think we need to rate these from least best to best. And Dan, I think it's up to James to decide here. James, should we start with your 7th?
Should we do that? Yeah, and I've changed my mind as we've gone on.
Number 7.
2011 away. Just because how miserable it was. Because, yes, it was a good victory, but I didn't enjoy the game. So if I'm looking at, did I enjoy the game? Would I like to relive those moments? I don't think I could cope with watching 2011 again, because it wasn't very, it was bad for the heart. And as we age, we've got to do things which are good for our hearts, haven't we? So yeah, that's bottom so far.
All right, next bottom.
Number 6.
JPT 2012.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Alfie Potter, that last minute, because it was, I don't remember it being a great game, but also it was in the JPT, so it had that, it's not in the league thing that you'd get.
Number 5.
What we're saying, James.
Is that FA Cup, the 2002 one, just because the embarrassment. That's the one I flipped with 2011. It's because I felt generally embarrassed to be playing them, and it to not be a great display. So it's kind of interchangeable, but yeah, I'm going with that.
Number 4.
I've gone 2015 JPT, which was the Kemar Roof double, wasn't it? I think that was the one. That's just, again, it's not up there because it was in the JPT. I'm still counting it, but there's emotional reasons why the other 3 are ahead of it.
Number 3.
2012 for me, the home game, which was Johnson and Asa Hall, isn't it? Yeah.
Ooh.
Just because it was a bit scrappy. Now, while it was a good win, it doesn't include how it felt to me to get those other 2 victories, which will come about in number 1 and number 2.
Number 2.
It's the away game, Robbie Hall's Thunderstrike.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant, and it was an amazing game. They went in front, we dominated them, but it didn't have the personal kind of emotional impact that my top game had, of that feeling of coming out of the ground in the home game, which I'm giving it away, but it's obvious.
Number 1.
James, go on, just for completion, tell us your number 1 and tell us why.
2016, and it is because of what I've already said. It was that, I suppose Twitter was still quite a positive thing, and we were interacting a lot with Swindon fans. I'd had a lot of interaction with Swindon fans through ice hockey as well, and it just felt like a moment where they'd always been able to kind of justify that Oxford were a bit lucky, or this time you beat us, but that win was so dominating and such a masterful performance that it showed we were 2 different clubs. And it was at that moment I just thought, this is the one that I would go back to again and again and relive. And you talk about your favourite children. Your favourite child is Chris Maguire. no matter how many children you've got, surely to goodness, right? And that whole thing of his perfect display of taking the piss and just scoring the penalties, the day. It was the big Robin banner as well, wasn't it? That one, or there was something else. But anyway, the whole thing, I would relive that game again and again. It was a perfect Oxford United moment, and I thought one of the momentous moments in our history against Swindon, because, as I've said, we dominated them to the point we own them now.
We've been running a poll on Yellow's forum and on TikTok and Instagram and all our other socials, and we've totted up all the votes, and I'm delighted to report the following results from our fans' choice. No one voted for any of the cup games, not a single vote, okay? So the top 4 in reverse order were: in 4th place, Maguire, 2-0. James, you're number 1.
Yep.
In 3rd place was Rob Hall. In 2nd place was Beano's 2 at the County Ground, and the most popular was the Ollie Johnson, Asa Hall, and the rear guard. So, how are we going to decide? Do we go for the people's vote, or do we go for James's vote, or
I think we go for James's.
We're going to go for James's.
We can go for mine,
the
but everybody else can also choose their own. But mine's right, because it's that emotional response. You know, you don't want to have a rear guard action against your closest rivals. You absolutely want to smash them, and we did that day. Nothing they did came close to Oxford United. We sang Oxford United FC, by far the greatest team the world has ever seen, and they knew it. Right, those people in the North Stand knew for once that they couldn't get away from it, that we in fact were. And yeah, that for me, it's just part of our history in the transition of our club across the decades, from the miserable times where we celebrated a Dave Penny equaliser, you know, on a Sunday in the 90s, through to a terrible display from Brian Wilsterman giving them some horrendous win at their place, to that feeling of dominance now. That it just flipped on that day. It flipped, and that's why it's my number 1.
I love it.
In the words of the Wu-Tang, cash still rules. So with that in mind, I think we go with the sponsor's choice as definitive. James, well done. Excellent choice. Okay, James, Matt, we have a little bit of time left. Just time enough, I think, for the John Narbet game, brought to you by Nutmeg.
The John Narbet game.
You both know the drill now. I am going to choose the following season, and it's a season that I've chosen at random, which is one I think you're both going to have a lot of memories of. We're going to go for the 2016-17 season, the season of total domination over Swindon.
Love it.
Chosen at random.
I'm not feeling that confident about going 3 in a row, I have to say.
Well, if you could both please write down the player you think the other person will name from that season. Please write it down in big letters so you can show it to me. If the other player names this player, you win. You will take it in turns to name a player from that season. You can challenge your opponent's guess. A false challenge, though, leads to a forfeit. Okay, James, you are taking on Matt, the defending champion. You can decide, James, to go first or second.
I'll go first.
Let's play.
Shay Dunkley.
Matt.
Okay. Let me go Rob Hall.
James.
John Lundstrom.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll give you that.
Matt.
Ledson.
James.
Oh, blimey. Charlie Raglan.
Matt.
Scarves.
James.
Oh, God, who was right back?
Gonna have to push you, James.
Wes Thomas.
Oh, I think that's all right.
Matt.
I think he was there at this time. Marvin Johnson.
James.
Jordan Graham.
Oh, I'm gonna have to challenge that. I'm putting in a challenge.
That is a challenge. I will now check the record from that season. This is according to Rage Online. James, you said... What did you say?
Jordan
I can't remember.
Graham.
Hold on. Jordan Graham.
Right wing on the other side from Marvin, I think.
Jordan Graham did not.
What?
He's done me.
How have I
16,
beaten Mr. OUFC himself at that?
When it's in the 80s and 90s, I can remember. I'm more frazzled these days.
That's exactly my brain goes as well. I'm surprised I got that deep into the squad, to be perfectly honest. Should we flick up the names that we had written down? Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, please, just so we know.
Chris Maguire, that one says. Although
Oh, yeah.
the blurring
And Liam
effect.
Serkin.
Maguire and Matt went for Liam
Serkin.
Serkin.
Was Ledson in that? Yeah, I should have challenged, shouldn't I?
He came in late.
Did he?
It would have been
Oh, God.
a false challenge.
I thought that was,
well done.
Matt.
Congrats, Matt.
Thank you, mate. I mean, 3 in a row. What can I say?
See if you can get
Mate,
to 7.
I know.
Matt, you've beaten the sponsor. That's
I
the worst thing.
He's going to have to pay us more.
Pay you on time. I'll pay you on time.
Oh, a lot of fun.
James, thank you ever so much for your time and for your reminiscing. You were unable to beat Matt at the John Narbutt game, but you did, I think, provide an excellent ranking of the top 7 in a row. So we're very, very grateful. Have you enjoyed your visit to our show?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love listening to you two and the guests you bring on. Yeah, brilliant. Can't wait to do it again. Always open for a little stint.
Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for listening. We hope we've helped you somewhat to get through this international break with our past 2 pods, because we know it can be a bit boring without any Oxford United action. If you haven't yet listened to the last week's episode, please do. It's an absolute belter in which we make an Oxford United 11 of players who have never actually scored for us.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks to discuss the pretty daunting looking week we've got coming ahead. Got games against Middlesbrough, Norwich and Ipswich coming up.
Ouch. Don't forget to like, comment and share with your friends, of course. And of course, do check out our socials. We're pretty much on all platforms, aren't we, Dan? As You Are My Oxford.
See you all soon.